Hi friends, my name is Baji. Welcome to our channel. In today's video, we will cover the concept of Groovy collections. We will discuss different collections like lists, maps and ranges with some examples. I have already discussed ranges in our part 6 which is looping structure video. However, ranges are also part of collections. We will quickly recap those concepts in this video okay. If you are watching this performance testing must have skill series for the first time, please watch the previous videos first and then continue this video. You can find the series playlist link in the description. So without any further delay, let's get started. Let's quickly open the Visual Studio Code to discuss the concepts. To save our time, I have already created a separate file called groovy-part9.groovy. If you want to follow along, you can also create a same file or you can use any existing file which ends with .groovy extension. Okay. Basically, Groovy collections are data structures that store multiple values. Groovy provides native support for various collection types including lists, maps and ranges. Each type has its own features and different unique use cases. Okay. Now let's talk about the first type of Groovy collection, which is lists. Lists are ordered collections that allow duplicate elements. They are similar to arrays but offer more functionalities. So what is an array? Basically, an array is a collection of items of same data type that store at contiguous memory locations. Let's look at an example. Let's say we have an array which stores the integer values like 2, 8, 1, 4, 6. So if we created an array in memory, it will be storing like this. So the values will be stored as an elements and every value will have an unique index. So either in array or in list, the index will always starts with 0. So it will be 0 for the first element, 1 for the second element and so on. So Groovy lists are flexible and provide a wide array of methods and operations to manipulate, access and modify the elements that they contain. Okay. So we can create the list using square brackets with elements separated by comma. For example, we can create a list to store the integer values like 2, 8, 1, 4, 6. So this is a list. Okay. So if you want to define an empty list, then you can use just the square brackets without any elements. Okay. So if you want to create a list in Groovy, you have to follow this syntax. Okay. First, you need to use the def keyword, same like the other variable creation, and then the list name. So let's say our list name is just list, and then equal to, we should provide the list with elements. So let's say 2, 8, 1, 4, 6. Okay. So this is the way we can create the list in Groovy. So let's use this list to do different operations like accessing the elements, adding the elements, removing, modifying, and so on. Okay. So there is a built-in method called size, which can be used to find the size of the list. Okay, let's try to make use of this built-in method and try to find the list size. So we'll try to find the size and then we'll print it on the screen so we can see the value. Okay, so let's use println and then list.size. So let's try to run the program. Go to the terminal and type Groovy with the file name. So groovy-part9.groovy. So the output is 5. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements. So that is why it is telling the size of the list is 5. Okay. Now let's try to find out the process of accessing these elements. So let's try to access the third element in the list and then print it on the screen. Okay. So we can use println to print the output onto the screen, and then the list name within square bracket, we should be specifying the index of that element. So like I said, index always starts with 0. If you want to access the 1 from this list, so it should be 0, 1, 2. So the index of 2 will retrieve the value 1. So let's specify the index here. So which is list 2. So let's try to run the program and then see if we are getting the value of 1. If you want to print the value 4, then you should be using the index 3. So let's rerun the program again. See, we are getting the output. Okay. So there is another way also you can try to access the element from the list, that is println list.get, and then inside that parentheses you should specify the index. Let's say you want to access the second element from that list. So let's try to run the program. 0, 1, 2. So 1 is the second index of 2, right? This is the index number. So we are asking Groovy to get the index of 2 from this list. So the index of 2 is 1, so that is why it is printing 1. Okay, these are the two ways that you can access the elements from the list. Now let's try to find the way to add new elements to this list. Okay, so we can use left shift operator to add any element to this list. So let's say if you want to add a 6, so you can write like this. So list and then 2 less than symbol, which is a left shift operator, and then the value that you want to add to the list. Now after adding, just try to print the list. So let's run the program again. So the original list was 28146. Now we have one additional element which is 6 because we just added the 6, right? So it is adding that 6 value into that list. So you can also use the left shift to add element to the list. They both are same. It is 2 less than symbol and here you are writing dot left shift. So let's try to rerun the program. So we have 3 6s, right? Like 28146 is the initial list and then we added 2 elements elements with 6 and 6. You can also make use of add method to add the element to the list. Let's say you want to add number 5. You can simply write add within opening and closing parentheses. You should specify the value that you want to add. So let's rerun the program again. You see the value 5 is being added to the list. If you want to add any value at specific index position, you can also do that using the add method. List.add. The only thing is you should specify the index where you want to add. Let's say if you want to add number 3 at the index position of 2, so you can say 2 comma 3. Okay, so let's rerun the program and then see what will happen. See 0 1 2, right? So it added 3 at the index position 2. If you want to add multiple items to a list, you can use the add all method. So you can specify in this format, like within opening parentheses, and then within square brackets you can specify the items that you want. Let's say if you want to add 5 comma 4 to the list, then you can use this format. Okay, so let's rerun the same program. See, now it added 5 and 4 to the list. You can also add multiple items from the specific index position onwards, right? Let's say if you want to add on the second index position these 3 elements. Okay, so you can specify like this. So within parentheses, first specify the index position from where these elements to be added, and then specify the elements. Let's rerun the same program. See, now we have from the second position we have 3 and 5, and then all the elements are shifted towards right. Okay, you can also add multiple items using the left shift operator. So let's say if you want to add number 7 and also add a character of I and then number 11. So you can also do this way. Let's rerun the same program. See 7, I, 11. In list, we can add different data types. It's not just only numbers, or it's not just only the characters, right? We can have combination. Okay, so that is the main difference between list and array. Array, you should have only the same data type of elements to be added, but in list you can add different data types elements. Okay, you can also add lists in this format, like you can have a list of items as a list, and then you can use the left shift operator to add them at the same time. Okay, let's rerun the same program. See, you have an item added as a sublist. These are the different ways to add elements to the list. You can use any one of the way to add items to the list. It's not necessary that you have to use or you have to remember all these options, but you can remember any one of them and try to add the values to the list based on the need. Okay, we can also perform some operations to duplicate the elements. Let's say if you want to duplicate the same items 3 times, then you can write like this. So list equal to list multiply by 3. So that means whatever the elements in the list will be added twice and then stored into the same list. Okay, so let's try to print the list now. So we have a list called 28146, right? So we multiply by 3, so that's why it added 3 times. So second time and third times. Even you can use list dot multiply by method, and within the parentheses you can specify the number of times you want multiply by. Okay, so let's rerun the same program. So you can also rewrite the same format using multiply by method. Okay, so you can say list equal to list dot multiply, and then within parentheses how many times you want to multiply. So let's say this time 2 times. Okay, and then rerun the same program. See, now list was multiplied by 2 times, so the items are duplicated 2 times only. Okay, so these are the 2 ways to do some operations to duplicate the existing list items. Now let's try to understand the process of removing the elements from the list. So there are different ways to remove the elements. So let's look at one by one. Okay, so we can use the method remove, and within parentheses you should be specifying the index position. Let's say if you want to remove the element from the index position 2, we should be writing like this. So list dot remove within parentheses the index of 2. Let's rerun the same program. So now we don't have the item 1 because at index position 2 we have value 1. So since we asked to remove the item that is available at index 2, it removed 1 and printed the rest. Okay, so we can also use another method called remove element, where we can specify the element instead of index position. Let's say if you want to remove 4 from the list, so you can say remove element within parentheses the element value, so which is 4. So let's rerun the same program. So this time it removed 4. Okay, for example, if you are trying to remove the element which does not exist in the list, so it will return you false. Let's say if you are trying to remove the element 5 which is not there in the list, so let's see what will happen. Since 5 does not exist in the list, it returned false. For example, if you want to clear all the elements in the list, so you can use the clear method, like list dot clear. So it will clear all the elements available in the list. Okay, so let's rerun the same program. Now we are getting the empty list because Groovy already cleared all the available items from that list. So these are different ways to remove items from the list. Now let's try to understand how we can modify the existing elements. For example, if you want to replace 1 with some numbers 5, so how do we do that? The number 1 is at index position 2, so we can rewrite like this. So we can say list of 2 equal to 5. So let's print the list before modifying to see the difference. Okay, let's rerun the same program. See, the original list is 28146 and we are asking to modify the element at index position 2 with 5. So Groovy replaced 1 with 5 and printed the new list. Okay, this is the way you can modify any existing items in the list. So in general, lists contain multiple values, right? If you want to iterate those lists, there are multiple ways to do that in Groovy using each and each with index methods. Okay, so let's try with each method. So the syntax is list dot each, and with the opening curly braces and closing curly braces, within those braces we should be writing println it. It holds the current value. Okay, so with this code, what Groovy will do is it will loop through all the elements and then it will try to print each item onto the screen. Let's run the program. So now we are getting the elements from that list like 2, 8, 1, 4, 6. Okay, so with this one line, you don't need to write any for loops or anything to get all the items from the list, right? You can make use of the each method with this syntax, and you can print all the available items from that list. We have another method called index. If you want to also print the index value of each element that is available in the list, you can use the each with index method, and then the syntax is opening curly braces and closing curly braces. Within that, first we will specify it, which holds the current value, and then comma I, the index position, and then hyphen arrow. This is the syntax we need to follow, and then the println statement. So let's say we want to print like first index position I and then the current value. So in string interpolation we are using this way, right? Like flower brackets. We can also skip those flower braces or curly braces. You can also rewrite without those as well. So Groovy can understand that we are trying to evaluate the value of that variable instead of printing that as a string. Okay, so let's rerun the same program and then see how the output looks like. So here we are getting the index 0. At index 0 we have value of 2, and at index 1 we have value of 8, and so on. So if you want to print the indexes as well, so you can use the each with index method. Now let's look at the different methods which can help us to find the elements from that list. So if you want to find any element index position, then you can use the index of method. So the syntax for that is list dot index of, and then specify the element. Let's say we want to find the index of 6, and then print the output onto the screen. Okay, so print ln and then run the program. Because we have 5 elements in the list, so index always starts with 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So value of 6 index is 4. So that is what it returns. Okay, and if you want to check if any specific element exists in the list, for that you can use the contains method. So the syntax for this is list dot contains and the element. So let's say if you want to find out 5, if 5 exists in the list, right? So you can write like this, like list dot contains, within parentheses you can specify the value that you want to find. If the value exists, then Groovy will return true or it will return false. Let's run the program to see the output. Since 5 does not exist in the list, it returns the false output. We can also use sort method to sort the list. Right now the lists are not in the ascending order, right? It's a mix, like first we have 2, 8, 1, so it is not in the proper order. But if you want to print them in a ascending order, then you can use the sort method. So the syntax is list dot sort opening and closing parenthesis. So let's run the program. So this is the original list and this is the after sorting them, right? After sorting 1, 2, 4, 6, 8. We have a couple of methods like collect and find all, with which we can transform the list. For example, if you want to multiply by each item 2, you can use the collect method. Let's look at one example. So after multiplying the elements, you want to store them into a new list so that you can see the output, right? So let's define a new list called doubled and then say list dot collect. Within opening and closing curly braces, you can say it, which is holds the current item, multiply by 2. So what it will do is it will take each item and then multiply that value into 2 and then store that into a new list called doubled. Okay, so let's print the actual list first and then print the doubled list so we can see the output together. So this is the original list and then this is the doubled list, right? So it multiplied by 2. So that is why 2 multiplied by 2 is 4, 8 multiplied by 2 is 16, and so on. Okay, for example, if you want to find even numbers from the list, you can make use of find all method. Okay, the syntax for this is, again, here we are trying to store the outcome into a new list. So let's say that list name as even even, then you can use list dot find all, and then opening and curly braces, you can give the condition. Let's say it percentage by 2 equal to 0. So this is the condition that we are specifying, saying that divide the current value by 2. If the remainder equal to 0, then consider that as an even and store it in the even list. So instead of double, let's print the even. Let's run the program. So we have 2, 8, 4, 6 even numbers in the list. Okay. Let's say if you want to find minimum value from the list, then you can use the min method. So let's say println list dot min. It will look all the elements and try to find out the minimum value from that list. Okay. So let's run the program. So this is the minimum value. And if you want to find the max value, let's say max, and then try to run the program. From that list, 8 is the maximum value. So these are the lists and different operations that we can perform on those lists. Okay. Let me know if anything is not clear. Now let's move on to the next collection, which is maps. In Groovy, maps are powerful data structures that store collection of key value pairs. They allow us to store, retrieve, and manipulate data in a structured manner. They offer efficient lookup operations based on the keys. Now let's try to find out the way to create those maps in Groovy. So the syntax is pretty similar. So first we need to use the def keyword and then the map name. Let's say my map equal to, and then you have to use the opening and closing square brackets. Within that you have to specify the key value pair. What is the key and then what is the value for that key. Let's say we want to store 3 key value pairs. So you can specify the key name first and then colon and the value. So name Alice, and then comma, next key value pair, let's say age 25, comma, the next key pair is London. So these are the 3 key value pair that I'm storing as a map in my map variable. Let's try to print this map to see the output. So we have name Alice, age 25, and city London. So we stored 3 key value pairs in my map. For example, or if you want to declare a empty map, then the syntax is def empty map. This is a variable name of that empty map, and then equal to opening and closing square brackets. Within that you specify the colon. So this is the definition of an empty map. Same like lists, if you want to find the size of the map, you can make use of the size method. So my map dot size, and then opening and closing parenthesis. Let's try to run the program. So we have 3 key value pairs stored in the my map, so that is why it returned the 3. So we have 3 items in this my map. Okay, now let's try to understand different ways to access these elements from the map. Okay, let's print them onto the screen so we can see the output. Okay, so to access any element from the map, you need to use the key. So the syntax for that is, first you need to write the map name. In this example, it is my map. Whatever the value that you want to retrieve, you have to write the corresponding key name. So dot, let's say if you want to print the name, then you can use dot name. So it will try to retrieve the value of that name in my map. Okay, let's run the program. So it printed the Alice because key name holds Alice. So there is another way you can do the same operation, that is using get method. So let's try to print again, println my map dot get, and within parenthesis you have to specify the key name. This time let's try to get the age. Okay, and then rerun the program. So we got the output 25 because we asked Groovy to get the age value. It looked into that map and looked at the key as age, and it printed the corresponding value that is assigned to that age key. Okay, so there is another way also to access element from this map. So that is println. Again, first we need to use map name, which is my map, and then opening and closing square brackets. Within that you have to specify the key name. Okay, so let's run the program. See, we got the output as London. So if you want to access any elements from the map, you have to follow one of this way. So if you want to remove any element from the map, you can make use of the remove method. Let's try to remove city from this map. First we need to use the map name. So my map dot remove, and then within parenthesis we should specify the key. Just print the map before removing the item, and then print after removing the item, so we can see the difference. Let's run the program. So before removing the city, we have 3 items, name, age, and city, and we removed the city element from the map, and then we printed again. We got only 2 items now. And if you want to remove all the items in the map, then you can use the clear method. My map dot clear, so it will clear all the elements, so it will remove all the elements from the map. Okay, so let's run the program. First we have the original items from that map, and then we removed everything and we printed again the map. So this time we don't have any items in the map, so that is why it just printed the empty map. Let's say if you want to modify the existing value from the map, then you can use this syntax. So let's use the name. First try to use the map name. In our example, mymap.the key. Whatever the value you want to modify, specify the key name here, mymap.key name. Let's say if you want to modify the age, right now it is 25. If you want to modify to 26, then you should be giving like this, mymap.age equal to 26. So let's print the map before and after so that we can see the difference. So let's run the program. In the original map, we have age as 25. We modified to 26. So we printed it again. Now we can see the update. So if you want to iterate through map, we can also use the same each with index methods. Let's try to look at some examples. First, let's try to use the each method. So we can write the map name first, mymap.each, and then opening curly braces. Whenever we are opening the curly braces, we should always have the corresponding closing. Okay. And then first we need to write entry. Here entry is a map entry. And then hyphen greater than symbol, and you can use the println because we want to print each key value pair onto the screen. So entry holds each key value pairs here, same like IT in our previous list example. We can use that entry and then try to retrieve all the key value pairs. So we can write like entry.key, which will retrieve the key value, and entry.value, which will retrieve the actual value of that key. Okay, so let's run the program and then see how the output looks like. So key is name, and then value is alias, age is 25, city is London. So we are getting the expected output. Okay, you can also iterate map without entry. We can simply specify the key and value directly. Okay, so you can also write like this, mymap.each, and then opening and closing curly braces. So instead of entry, you can write key value and same hyphen greater than symbol, and then println. Here you can write key colon value. So you don't need to write any entry here. So this is an alternative way to achieve the same output. So let's rerun the same program. We got the exact output. So you can use either entry or you can use directly key value. If you want to retrieve the index of each key value pair, then you can use the each with index method. So let's write an example to understand that. My map, which is our map name dot each with index, and then we have to use key value I holds the index value, hyphen greater than symbol, println. You can specify I dash key colon value. So if you rerun the same program, we will see the output like index 0 holds name, key and alias value, and index 1 holds age 25, index 2 holds city London. So if you want to iterate map, you can make use of these methods. Let's say if you want to check if any key or value exists in the map, we have a couple of methods like contains key and contain value, which can help us to understand if the given value exists in map or not. Okay, so let's try to print the output. So first we should write the map name, which is mymap.contains key, which will verify if the given key is available in the map or not. Let's say we want to check if name key exists in the map, so we can write this way. So mymap.contains key, within parentheses we should specify the key name. If the key exists, then Groovy will return true, otherwise it will return false. Let's run the program. So we got the output as true. Let's check if given value exists in map or not. So first we need to write our map name, so mymap.contains value. So just make sure that you are following this same camel case, right? So here contains C with small and V with capital. So specify the value that you want Groovy to check and then tell the output. So let's say you want to verify the value 26 exists in the map or not. So let's run the program. Now we got the false because we have age as 25. So Groovy did not find any value with 26. That is why it returned false. So we have a couple of methods for finding any entry in the map. So let's try to look at those now. Let's declare a new map called people, and we have a key as 1, 2, 3, 4, and each key holds list of key value pairs. Okay, the key 1 holds name Bob, age 32, and gender. Similarly, key 2 holds name Johnny, age 36, gender. So we have defined a map in this way. Let's do the search on this map. Now let's try to find the people with the name Bob from this map. So to do so, first you need to write the map name. Our map name in this example is people. So we can use dot and then the method find, opening and closing curly braces. Inside that you should specify the condition. So each map holds, again we can use IT variable which holds the current value from that map. So let's write IT dot value because Bob is value, right? So we want to verify value, IT dot value dot, and where does that Bob assigned to a key called name. So we want to verify under name. So what Groovy will do is it will take the current record and it will look for value Bob with the corresponding key as name and then double equal to Bob. So it will iterate the map and then it will check for this condition. If this record exists, then it will return true. If this record exists, then it will retrieve that record, right? And let's store that into a new variable called Bob. So let's store that into Bob. Okay, let's try to print the Bob and then see what is the output. See, it looped through all these people's map and then it looked for Bob. So it stored that entry into Bob. Okay, so we can see 1 equal to name Bob, age 32 and gender male. We can also make use of find all method if you want to find multiple items from that map. So for example, let's say people dot find all, and this time we will give the condition as gender double equal to, we want Groovy to find the records with matching gender equal to F and try to store the outcome into a new variable called females. So let's print the females. Let's run the program. So we have two records, the key number 3 which holds the record of gender female F and then the key 4. So that is why it stored those two records in female variable. Okay, so these are the maps and different operations that we can perform. So I will also provide you the official documentation link which explains different operations against all these collections. So practice those so that you can master these collections. Okay, now let's quickly discuss the final collection which is ranges. We already talked about these ranges in previous video, but so let's quickly try to understand the ranges one more time. Okay, so basically ranges allow you to create a list of sequential value. To create a range, you can use the dot dot operator. So this is the range operator. Now let's try to understand the way to create range in Groovy. So first we will use the def keyword and then the range variable name. So let's say we want to store a numeric range from 1 to 10. So we can write like numeric range equal to 1 dot dot 10. So what will happen is Groovy will store the range starting from 1 to 10 in the numeric range variable. And range can be any sequential value. It's not just only for numerics, right? You can also store some characters also. Let's say if you want to store some character range like from A to Z, then you can use like character range is a variable name. It can be anything. I'm just giving a meaningful name so you can easily understand. And then equal to, you can specify the range. Since these are character, we should be using the single quotation A dot dot Z. So this will hold all the alphabets and stored into that character range. Okay, let's try to print the size so that you can understand how many values that these variables holds. Let's try to print the character range. So println, we can use the size method to do so. So character range dot size. So let's run the program. You see this character range holds 26 values because alphabets are 26. Okay, so if you want to print the size of numeric range, then you can do the same thing, numeric range dot size. So we have 10 elements in this numeric range variable. For example, if you don't want to include 10 in the range, then you can use the exclusive range operator. Okay, so to define that, again we can use the numeric range variable. Instead of 1 dot dot 10, we can say 1 dot dot less than 10. So what will happen is behind the scenes it will exclude number 10. So the range will be from 1 to 9. Let's print the size to understand whether we are getting 10 as the output or 9. Okay, so let's println numeric range dot size. So this time we should be getting 9 because we excluded number 10 from the range. You can also use the same operator at the beginning, so that will exclude number 1 as well. Okay, that from value as well. So this is the from value and this is the 2. So that is the range that we are telling Groovy to create. So if you want to exclude both from and 2, you can write like this. So let's rerun the same program. This time we will only get 8 because we are telling Groovy to exclude the from and the 2 value from that range. So if you want to access any element from that range, you can use the same list syntax, like you can say numeric range and then specify the index position, right? So index always starts with 0, same like list or array. So if you want to access the element at the position index 2, then you should be writing like this, numeric range within square brackets, you should specify the index position. So let's run the program. We will be getting output 3 because our range starts from 1 to 10, right? Index 0 will be holding 1 and index 1 will be holding 2 and index 2 will be holding 3. 3. So that is why we got 3 as an output. You can also use the get method to achieve the same output. So instead of giving square bracket, you can say dot get within parentheses. You can specify the index position. It will also get you the same output. So let's run the same program. So we're getting the same 3. So if you want to iterate all the items that are available in the range, you can make use of the classic for loop also. So the syntax for that is for I in and the range. So since we stored the range, so we can use the variable which holds the range. Let's say this time character range and then print the I. So let's run the program. It will print all the items in that range. So it printed A, B, C, D, E, F. And we can also make use of the dot each method to iterate over the range instead of writing the for loop. So let's try to achieve the same output using the dot each method. So character range dot each and then println it. It holds the current item. So let's run the program again. We got the exact output. So either you can use the for loop this way or you can use this way as well. And if you want to check if any specific item exists in the range, so you can use the contains method, same like in list. So you can say character range contains, let's say you want to find V exists in the range or not. Okay, if it exists, then it will return true. If not, then it will return false. So let's run the program. We got true because V exists in the character range. Sometimes we want to find the from and to values from the range, so we can make use of methods called dot from and dot to get that output. Okay, so let's say if you want to find from value from the numeric range, you can write numeric range dot from. Okay, let's run the program. So the from value is 1. You can achieve the same output using dot get from method as well. So both are same. You can either use simply dot from or you can use dot get from. Make sure that F capital this time. Okay, so let's run the same program to see whether we are getting the output. Okay, now if you want to get the to value, so the syntax is pretty much same. Instead of from, you will be using to, and we have another method also called get to. So both will be doing the same thing. Let's run the program. So the from value is 1 and then to value is 10. For example, if you want to reverse the range, we have a method called reverse which will reverse the entire range. Let's try to print the alphabets in reverse range. So we stored that alphabet range in character range. So let's try to run character range dot reverse. Now we have all the alphabets printed in reverse. So these are all different collections and different operations that we can perform on each collections. If you observe carefully, most of them are pretty much similar, right? We are using pretty much same methods in all type of collections. Like I said, I will share you the official documentation link which explains some more operations on these collections, so you can go through them and try to practice it. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for staying till the end. I hope you understood all the concepts explained in this video. In case any specific concept is not clear or requires more detailed information, please don't hesitate to mention it in the comment section. All these notes and programs or sample examples have been uploaded into GitHub and you can find the link in the description. If you are new to our channel, please consider subscribing. By subscribing, you will stay updated on all our future content. If you liked what you saw today, please give this video a thumbs up and also share with your friends. Your support means a lot to me. If any of your friends are interested in learning performance testing concepts, please share the series links to them so that they will learn all these concepts for free and get benefited. I'll see you with our next video in this module. Until then, take care, stay safe and keep learning.